Rutgers is set to move to the Big Ten in a mere few months. For the entirety of the athletic department and the school, the move was a no-brainer. The Big Ten is arguably the premier conference in collegiate athletics. And for a school where college football was born way back in 1869, the change in conference affiliation is essentially about as big of a success as the school could ever imagine. Essentially, the Big Ten saw Rutgers as the school with the key to the New York City market. And with that, the conference made a major investment. For an athletic department whose football team has played in two of the few New York City-based Pinstripe Bowl games, the branding with the New York City area is palpable. But moving forward, the joining of the conference is in the past. The question now is this: can Rutgers compete in what statistics say might be the best historical football and basketball conference in the country? The simple answer is that the Scarlet Knights basketball and football programs will have to step up mightily if they don't want to embarrass the entirety of the university when competing in the Big Ten. For according to one all-encompassing statistic, Rutgers is not only out of their league in the Big Ten, they are perhaps the worst historically of the 65 schools in the now Power 5 conferences. But first, a little history on the success, or lack thereof, of the Rutgers football and basketball programs. The football team is coming off a decade of increased success, but still has only been to 8 bowl games in their history, most recently losing to Notre Dame in last year's Pinstripe Bowl. The basketball program has been one of the worst major conference programs historically, last being ranked in the AP Top 25 in the 1970s. Losing has been commonplace in New Jersey, the lone exception being 1976, when the Scarlet Knights took the campus by storm with an undefeated record heading into the Final Four. The team would go on to lose their final 2 games of the season, and by 1980 would fail to reach the upper echelon of college basketball. On that 1976 team was one Eddie Jordan, the current coach of the men's basketball team, trying to lead a resurgence back to the times of the 70s. If he is to do so, he'd be part of making the Scarlet Knights both respectable in the Big Ten and relevant on the national stage. For when you look at the football and basketball programs all time, Rutgers boasts what might be the worst 2 programs in major Division I athletics. This can be seen when looking at the roughly 2,200 football and men's basketball AP polls ever. Of the 65 major conference schools in the Big Ten, Big 12, ACC, Pac-12, and SEC, Rutgers has by far been ranked in the fewest football and basketball polls. The Scarlet Knights football and basketball teams have been ranked in just 64 polls, 2.97%. That's less than half of the polls of the second worst of the 65 teams, Iowa State with 147. When looking at the disparity of the bottom feeders like Rutgers compared to the top echelon, the gap is alarming, especially considering 2 of the top 3 programs are Big Ten brethren. For example, Ohio State and Michigan have been in at least 54% of the polls, each more than 1,100 more polls than the Scarlet Knights. In the Big Ten, though, it's not only those top 2 schools. Of the 5 major conferences, the Big Ten boasts the highest average individual school AP poll percentage, 28.29%. Again, Rutgers averaged less than 3%. As you can see on this map of the Big Ten schools, Rutgers is out of their league historically as they head into the Big Ten. The larger and darker the shade of red in the circle, the more AP poll appearances. As you can see, Rutgers has a rather small circle and lighter hue compared to the bulk of the conference, of which 10 schools have been in at least 24% of AP polls. The number speaks to the competitiveness of the conference. As of now, Rutgers is out of their league in these 2 major sports, not only in the Big Ten, but nationally as well. So go ahead, determine for yourself if you think Rutgers is the worst power conference school ever. Whether you think so or not, one thing is certain, that Rutgers basketball and football need to bring their A game as they head west. Who knows, maybe a new age for the New Jersey school will bring about a new age according to the numbers as well.